Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name is Jennifer Key. I'm a civilian member with the RCMP out of K Division headquarters in Edmonton. I'm the Community Engagement and Outreach Specialist, and I'm here to talk to you today about crime prevention through environmental design, also referred to and known as Septet. So what is Septet? Septet, crime prevention through environmental design, is defined as a multidisciplinary approach for reducing crime through urban and environmental design and the management and use of built environments. Septet strategies rely upon the ability to influence offender decisions that precede criminal acts by affecting the build, social, and administrative environment. What are some of the few benefits of Septet that we will focus on today? The first is reduction in crime, reduction in the potential for crime, a decreased fear of crime, the revitalization of neighborhoods, and most importantly, it empowers property owners to tackle crime. What is the emphasis that Septet focuses on? The first is the physical environment, the second is the behavior of people, the productive use of space, and crime loss prevention. One of the focuses on Septet is the risk versus gain matrix. Offenders are typically looking for a low risk, high gain when they come onto a property or have the potential of committing an act of theft. Septet looks at increasing the risk of the offender being caught by fortifying your property and minimizing the gain. In other words, we're trying to take away the potential of the gain by increasing the risk. The risk mitigation strategies include avoidance. Remove objects of interest, and these are objects that are laying around your yard, objects that haven't been secured. Reducing the potential. By this we mean using lighting, fencing, alarms, or containment, and transfer, as well as accept. And the 4 Septet principles are natural surveillance, access control, territorial reinforcement, and maintenance. And we'll go through each one of these principles one by one. Septet also focuses on the 4 Ds. And the first one of these Ds is to deter. By using deterrence techniques, that includes natural surveillance, which is access control, territoriality, exterior maintenance, defined space and lighting, post-policy statements, in other words, who's allowed on the property, who is not allowed on the property, and ensure proper use is promoted. For businesses, this would mean don't loiter, customer parking only in the parking lot. The second D is detect. We detect potential crime through access control, intrusion detection, alarm on gates, entrances and patrols, CCTV surveillance, and duress enunciation, such as fence alarms and using more lighting. We want to delay, and by delaying, we can use well-maintained fences or exterior gates, defense in layers, use quality locks and gate mechanisms, and harden entries or weak points. A lot of crimes are committed on properties that have holes in fences or holes that have not previously been repaired. These are making easy access points for either the same criminal to return or for future criminals to have easier gain to your property. The 4th D is deny. Use multiple layers of protection around your stuff. Use a response to an alarm. The totality of how robust your security program is, and patrol or static guard. Natural surveillance. Seeing and being seen are important aspects of crime prevention. Natural surveillance uses the physical placement of windows, lighting, landscape, wall, and fences in order to create increased visibility. Criminals like the idea of working in anonymity and are more likely to commit crimes when they feel they cannot be seen. One of the major components of natural surveillance is lighting. Consider using LED lighting, as it has been proven the most effective lighting to use to identify human activity in an area, as well as security. Non-LED lighting, or low or high pressure sodium lighting, gives off an orange glare and renders the image on video surveillance grainy, which makes identification of a criminal very difficult. LED lighting should be installed both inside and outside of the premise, including parking areas, as well as pedestrian pathways to and from the premise. And motion sensor lighting is the most cost and energy efficient option for lighting. For surveillance, we also use the 2 feet by 6 feet rule. And in this demonstration, you can see we do have a criminal that is hiding behind a brush that hasn't been maintained as a person is walking down the sidewalk, rendering that person an easy target. In order to reduce the opportunity for this crime, we would follow the 2 feet by 6 feet rule, which ensures that all brushes are cut down to 2 feet and all tree branches are cut up to 6 feet, which increases your lines of sight. Mechanical surveillance involves the use of security cameras. These are a few examples of the ones that are easily obtained and easily mountable. Another option is trail cams. These are quite popular on rural properties to install right by your fence or gate, or to have on your property. They can be easily camouflaged and hard to detect. A lot of them do render good pictures and good quality for the officers if need be after a crime is committed. So some of the do's and don'ts for proper video surveillance is to ask yourself, will you just get a blob on a field within the camera site? Be strategic where you place cameras. What will you see and what are you wanting to see? Can we find out what kind of vehicle it is through the video surveillance? Are there natural choke points in your property that are ideal for covert cameras, such as trail cams? Place valuable objects in camera view. The second principle we'll be looking at is natural access control. Natural access control serves to restrict access to the premise and guides people entering and leaving through the placement of entrances, exits, landscape, design elements, signage, gates, fences, and lighting. The appropriate placement of the above noted features serves to deter criminal activity as it denies criminal access to potential targets by creating a perception of risk. And territorial reinforcement. This provides a sense of ownership by defining property lines and clear distinctions between private and public spaces by using landscaping, architectural elements, patterns, textures, colors, lighting, space, planning, and signage. And territorial reinforcement does include signage, and although this mat is very funny to have at your front door, it does speak volumes, we don't suggest actually using it. And signage includes warning, premises protected by 24-hour video surveillance, crime prevention zone, neighborhood watch, security notice, and we will be watching a short video on territorial reinforcement and how to use it effectively.
Hi, my name is Julian Selms. I'm a constable with RCMP here in K Division, Alberta. I'm here to go through a walkthrough using the principles of crime prevention through environmental design and target hardening of a property to show you some of the things and some of the good practices that are already being done and what we can change in a property to make it less likely for crime to occur. When I look at this house, the first thing that strikes me is the visibility. So we call this natural access. So from the perspective of this front room, you can see everything coming down the driveway of the property. And that's really important because that way anyone approaching the property also knows, hey, I can be seen. Okay, so now here I am looking towards the road from inside the property. And here you can see my point about natural surveillance. You can be in here, up the stairs, and easily look down the property and you've got a wide view of who's going by, who's coming in, who's trying to be near your gate. Being able to have clear natural sight lines from your principal residence towards the front of your property offers you the best opportunity, the best mix of strategies to say to someone, if you're coming to my property, I can see you. So here we have a gate on this side of the property, and this goes towards other neighbors. So the thought on this gate, there's some great things and there's some drawbacks too. What's great about this is a celebrated entrance. So here we know this is the spot you're supposed to come and go from. In discussion with the owner before we did this filming, he noted that with the deer that he has on property, the deer will often pass right through the gate in this manner. And for him, it's important that he allows the deer to come and go through his property. The trade-off, obviously, is if someone could come right through there without really having to worry about either the gate or the fence. I would recommend closing this area off, making it more difficult for a person to get through. So here we are at the roadside of the property. As you can see from the property, we've got a gate, we've got the metal bars between the posts, very effective deterrents. Again, you can walk right over the metal bars. It's not that you can't do that, but this is a simple and effective way to define the territory, to say you're not welcome past this, and psychologically someone trying to cross this would say, I'm out of place. Now the gate itself, in this case, is remotely opened. Now, here the gate's open. If you drove by, you might think that the homeowner's home right now, or they may be expecting guests. If the gate's always open when you're home, and always closed when you're not home, then you're sending a message if someone comes by this road often of when you're home, you're telegraphing, hey, no one's here, come on by. So if you've got a gate, you want to have something that's consistent. So it says, this gate is closed when I'm home and when I'm not home. We see many break and enters in the wintertime when a property like this has no tracks coming through the front and it's very clear no one's home. It becomes a huge disadvantage. So if you're going away for holidays, make sure you work with your neighbors or have a system in place that addresses that. Because again, if it snows, 2 days goes by, there's no tracks on the property, the natural conclusion is there's no one home.
Maintenance. A sense of guardianship is a strong deterrent to criminal activity. Creating a sense of guardianship entails regular and good maintenance of the property. Keeping the lawn clean of debris and well maintained, repairing broken windows in a timely manner, repairing fences in a timely manner, etc. In this image, for maintenance, we can see that there are quite a few ambush points that need to be dealt with, following the 6 feet by 2 feet rule, specifically focusing on the shrubbery that is directly in front of the house, near the windows. If we were to focus on this, you can see that a criminal can clearly hide behind these brushes and even maneuver the window open or break it without being seen. In this image for maintenance, we notice a bunch of garden tools that are along the fence. And we notice that there looks to be a barbecue lined up right next to the house. For maintenance, what we want to do is put all of these garden tools away, as they can not only be used as break and enter tools, but it also can be used as weapons against you should you catch a criminal in the act. And this is a before and after picture of how well maintenance can change the look of your residence. On the left-hand side, you will see that there is a lot of shrubbery again in front of the window, making a good concealment point and making it very accessible to a criminal to break into those windows, either by breaking them or prying them open. In the image on the right, after the maintenance has been completed, we have an open sight lines. We do not have any place where an offender or potential criminal can hide or try to break into the windows without being seen. So putting it all together and a few more tips. We will watch a video here on how to secure your rural property, which incorporates all the Septet principles and how to use them effectively.
My name is Julian Selms. I'm a constable with RCMP here in K Division, Alberta. I'm here to go through a walkthrough using the principles of crime prevention through environmental design and target hardening of a property to show you some of the things and some of the good practices that are already being done and what we can change in a property to make it less likely for crime to occur. And as I look at the road again, what I see here is clean lines of sight from the backyard straight to the property. So I can see if someone's coming, someone's loitering at the gate. Notice that we've got those pillars and a simple metal bar between the pillars along the left side of this gate. As simple as that is, and it's something that you could walk over if you choose to, the psychological effect of that, a gate and those pillars, is set that anyone who tries to walk over that knows that they're out of place. And that small distinction can make a big difference. And from a criminal's perspective, they're gonna look at this and say, This property is one less likely property I want to target. Notice that we've got some older barbed wire fence. It's still a barrier. It's not that you can't hop over it, but again, it's a barrier. But with this thick lane and the amount of bush that's here all accumulates into a fairly dense barrier that, as much as someone could, if they're really trying, could come down and enter, it's just that much of a deterrent. And again, you've got a clean separation of space here. So from a Septet perspective, what we always recommend is keeping your bushes and your foliage against the house low. That way they don't create a barrier for you to see, using your natural sight lines from you seeing what's going on around you. So notice how high this is, right? Around 2 feet. This area, this is great, as opposed to a big tall tree blocking the windows. And also got our basic chain link fence here. Again, defines where the property starts and ends from the homeowner's perspective. But here we've got this brush area that's cleared out, right, to the next properties. So again, someone who's approaching this area, it would seem more unnatural, and it's very clear that if they're walking in this brush line, they're either part of this property or not. The homeowner would easily recognize it, and someone, a stranger walking down this area, would feel very vulnerable. Here we are at the back of the property. And as I look towards the back, I see some taller trees. Notice that the trees, you can see the under part of the trees. So if someone was standing behind that tree, you would see them. They wouldn't be hidden.
And just a recap for the crime prevention through environmental design. Ask yourself, what surveillance do you have? Do you have overt or covert? Are more valuable and mission critical pieces need more attention, detection points such as surveillance mechanical, active lighting, and perimeter alarms? And what is the perception the criminal has of your property? Can he or she come and go as they please? Is there a high risk of detection or a low risk of detection? And can they see valuables that have been left out or insecure on your property? Who can be certified as a crime prevention through environmental design practitioner? Anybody can obtain certification as a Septet practitioner. Becoming a Septet practitioner is an excellent way to become actively involved in strengthening and getting to know your community. And here are 2 resources available for you should you choose to become a Septet practitioner. And for any further information, please do not hesitate to get in contact with me. My contact information is as follows. I'd like to take the time to thank you for watching, and hopefully you'll find some of these tips beneficial in fortifying your property. And should you have any further questions, please do not hesitate to get a hold of me.